You're listening to the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast.
Climb the ladder, kid! Make yourself famous!
A podcast covering all things WWE.
I have now returned to save the WWE.
NXT.
The beautiful part of NXT is that when one dream ends, another dream begins.
And AEW.
Holy wrestling. I couldn't be more happy.
Here are your hosts, Kyle Gagliardi and Jim Tucker.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, hosted by the Marks, for the Marks. I am your host, with the most, Kyle Gagliardi, and my co-host is my good friend, Jim Tucker, or as I like to call him, Tucker!
Nailed it. What's going on, Kyle?
Been a while for us,
It
I
has.
should say. What is it, 8 days now?
Yeah. Which is many moons in the wrestling world lately.
Oh, geez, especially this past week.
Yes.
What have you been doing besides, wrestling, which obviously that's been a big part of both of our past week.
Not much, really. I mean,
Trip to Nevada.
I spent 38 hours in Nevada.
And how were those 38 hours?
They were good. It was good for Mr. Desir family and reconnect with all them. The 2 canceled flights, drive into Indy, flying to Nevada. But, that's memories.
That's just the life of a wrestler, actually, if you really think about it. So,
I'm in it.
So, yeah, you're totally in it.
Yeah.
100% a Mark. That's guaranteed. But you know what? I was kind of excited coming over here, for one, because there was a lot of wrestling that's been going on, and it was very good wrestling, might I add. And two, as you can see, and the people listening can't see, but you can, the Cardinals jersey's on. Cardinals just, won their first game of the NLDS. So,
yeah.
Very happy.
We were threatened twice by extra innings. When they were tied up at 3-3, they went, I was getting nervous.
Because it's 8:50 right now. Just imagine extra innings and us recording at like 9:30 on a Thursday night when you got school tomorrow and I got work. So.
Well, we would have done it, too, because we're for the fans.
That's right. And, with all that wrestling that happened, we kind of have to do it. But, speaking of baseball and sports itself, this podcast, the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast, is a part of the Overtime Sports Network.
Yeah, OTSportsNetwork.com. Head to Twitter @_OTSN. You're going to see a bunch of different blogs, bunch of different podcasts, football, wrestling, baseball, basketball, all kinds of gambling, dashes
Gambling's
of gambling.
Big now, apparently.
It is. Your show, Gambling with Gags, not so big.
R.I.P. to that show. But, gambling's now legal in the state of Indiana, which is where OTSN is out of. So, makes sense why we have a lot of degenerates here in Indiana.
Our Twitter nephews group is constantly making the trek up to Hammond in the Ameristar Casino to place their wagers.
Don't have to do that anymore.
No, why not?
Because we got what is it called? Why do I always forget it? Because I know FanDuel. What's the other one? DraftKings. I don't know why I was going to say Daily Kings, but DraftKings now is a sports
Daily
book.
Kings.
Hey, we could create that now.
Yeah, hey.
We got our own sports book going on here.
And this podcast is also brought to you by Daily Kings.
We're not asking for a sponsorship here, but at Daily Kings, if you are a thing, we'll partner up with you. But what do you want to start off with here? We got a lot of wrestling to talk about.
Okay, so in my head, I think we start with the Wednesday Night Wars.
Of course.
And I think it makes a little bit more sense to start with AEW. Not because in our minds we think it was a hotter show, better show, this or that. But once we clear the deck with AEW, you go NXT, Raw, SmackDown, you kind of hit that whole other channel. So.
And don't forget about Hell in the Cell. That's in a couple days.
Yeah, in that loaded card.
Oh, all 3 matches, It's going to be tough to predict all of those. But
and that show would still last 4.5 hours. They would do it.
They'd find a way. We'd have like 24/7 title segment go for an hour or something like that. I mean, they can always make it work.
Well,
but
you could do a whole 1 hour Maury for Maria Kanellis and the father, too.
He did tweet at them. Did you see that? Maury did? Yeah. He's like, you guys have an open invitation to come on the show.
Yeah, just let me know.
I'd probably watch it. I'm not going to lie.
We watch everything.
Yeah, that's very true. And speaking of watching things, I watched AEW Dynamite, the debut episode on TNT after NXT. Now, you had a different setup over here, didn't you?
Yeah, we tweeted out a picture of my setup. I had 2 screens going.
I see them right now.
And
we're recording at your place for the first time.
This is the first time. We got Leo down in the man cave with us. Hopefully not making too much trouble. But he's
a good boy so far.
He is. And I had NXT and AEW side to side. And it was...
Would you do it again?
Probably not.
Just
Probably
too much to
not.
keep up with?
Well, it depends on the night. If I know I can stay up till 11 and I've got a little bit more time, I would probably prefer to watch both separately.
Did you have both the commentary on, or did you have one muted, or just flipped back and forth?
My one situation was that I only had the remote for the volume to one TV. So the AEW commentary was always on at a low to medium volume.
Okay.
And I would flip NXT up or down depending on the moment. So it did get a little loud here because I'm trying to drown out AEW with the small hum of the A's game in the background, too.
Right.
Watching Sean Mania, shout out episode 13, Wheelhouse Baseball Podcast, wheelhousepod.com.
Well, TSN.
Yeah, what is up? So my experience was chaotic, and your depth might be a little deeper than mine, but I do bring the perspective of literally watching both shows at the same time and bouncing back and forth and feeling which way my attention was pulled because I was trying to give both my honest opinion. And when we compare the two, and we'll talk about that, I think we both have an interesting opinion. So
no, I think that's very good, too, because I specifically watched NXT in its entirety beforehand. And I think there was maybe only one time I changed the channel over to AEW, and it was during the Pete Dunne match that was going on NXT.
Oh, sure.
But other than that, I took all one show in at a time. So you have it from your perspective from two TVs at once, and mine was going back to back and staying up a little later. But we're going to start off with AEW here, and the kickoff match was, of course, involved with Cody, the man that founded AEW here, going up against Sammy Guevara. That's the pronunciation, right? There's the golf clap.
Nice.
How many times did I practice that before we started recording?
Too many for that name.
Well, I mean, it's spelled Guevara, and it's just pronounced like it's an A there. So there's no U, no E. Just ignore that. But yeah, I've never seen Sammy work at all. Have you seen any of his matches?
No, sir.
I honestly couldn't even tell you where he came from. But once again, for the people that may be just listening for the first time, or if you're a longtime listener of the past 6 episodes, we're not fully into AEW yet. We're just dipping our toes into this. We didn't really pay much attention to most of these guys before they came here. So This is all new to us. So seeing Sammy here is pretty new to me, and I thought he was pretty talented.
Yeah, I thought it was a good match. I thought it was pretty talented. He is pretty talented as well. And I think we'd welcome people that are familiar with these people to interact with us on Twitter.
Yeah.
At Pod on the Mark. If you see us comment or you listen to our podcast, we don't know Sammy very well. Tell us about a memorable match if you've ever heard one or anything like that. But the Sammy versus Rhodes match was a good kickoff.
You technically can't say Rhodes now. That's plagiarism.
Cody.
Yeah, Cody and Brandy Rhodes. Notice how that's always how they have to announce it?
That's true. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It didn't blow, didn't burn the house down, but I think it was a good kind of measuring stick. This is kind of an expectation. And again, when we talk about Raw and SmackDown on TV, it was a good TV match. That was okay match for TV.
Because we already know what it is.
Right. So if that's a common TV match,
very good.
Yep.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I think Cody, ever since he got away from WWE, has improved his character work. And you can kind of tell that he is embracing this. He's like the Triple H of AEW right now. Because people respect Triple H when they see him on WWE TV because, he's kind of changed the landscape of things with NXT and all that. Cody's the guy that started AEW, so people are going to back him because he gave them this fresh, new wrestling company. And he also has great character work and great matches now, and he's having these matches with lesser-known guys. Like Darby Allin he had a match with, and Joey Janela he's had matches with. I mean, people know who those guys are.
I think that's my next T-shirt.
What, Joey Janela?
There's a cool one.
Oh, you a big Joey Janela guy?
I've seen him wrestle once. I'll buy a shirt.
Okay. Is that all it takes right there?
Yep.
Okay, but yeah, we'll see a lot of those guys wrestle. And what date is that? November 27th?
7th, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Black Wednesday.
Are you going out after that? We're going to go out after that show. Yeah, we have to.
We'll all be together.
And then I wake up every Thursday night playing a turkey bowl at 9 a.m. So
nice.
Flag football. Do you want to play? It's at Jerry Ross right over here.
I might want to watch.
All right, do that. We'll see you out there for
okay,
sure. We'll have to televise this on OTSN. That's definitely happening. But no, I think it's a very good start to AEW. And like you said, it kind of just shows you, hey, this is what we are. And then afterwards, we get the post-match beatdown by Cody's future opponent, Chris Jericho.
Yeah, that was a little bit unexpected. But looking at the whole show from a
Top to bottom.
from post, it makes sense.
Right. And this is stuff you see in wrestling. This is textbook stuff. When you have a future title match coming up, the heel's going to do heel stuff.
Yep.
That's exactly what he did there.
Yeah, and hats off to them for everything running smoothly on their first go at it with TNT. You could tell they've run a wrestling show before.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, there were some times where, like, the wording of commentary going into a commercial was kind of, delayed, but that's stuff that's going to happen. This is your very first show that you're putting together. So, good start to the show for sure here. And then we transition over to MJF, who, honestly, is probably the best heel right now in professional wrestling. I don't know if you would agree with me there.
I would agree, because every time we see him, we're waiting for him to turn on Cody.
Exactly.
And, when he has you on the edge of your seat like that, he's doing his job. And I actually don't hate him.
No,
he's not a hated. It's like that.
He reminds me of the Miz.
Yeah, right. Like I think that's actually a perfect comparison.
And I wouldn't say the wrestling's the same because their wrestling is completely different. I think MJF might be actually a better wrestler from a technical standpoint.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, but I mean, they both know how to be a really good heel, and that's basically what this match was here versus Brandon Cutler. Nothing spectacular, kind of short. It was basically just a showcase for MJF to say, you know what, this guy's really good, and he's a really good bad guy. So here he is right after Cody's match. I didn't hate it.
Nope, me neither, and I've got nothing much else to add.
Yeah, it made sense, and that was a perfect spot for it on the card, I believe, especially what was to come later on in the show, like Hangman Page versus Pac, and it is pronounced Pac. I made sure of that, even though it's spelled Pac.
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be a K at the end?
They were saying Pac all over the Sears Center at All Out, too, and I'm like, wait a minute. But yes, Pac it is.
It's very weird, and it should be pronounced Pac, but here we are. It's Pac, and if you don't know who that is, formerly known as Neville in the WWE, but this match was supposed to happen. What was that, Fyter Fest, I believe it was, or was it Double or Nothing?
I think it was Fyter Fest.
It was one of those two. I'm not 100%, but really good matchup. Pac's doing his high spots. Hangman Page is, really good at working the crowd, too. I've noticed that.
And I think that where they had Hangman Page today, not in the main event title, picture, I think this is going to let him be a little bit more comfortable. And I like him. I like Hangman Page.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
I think he's a good babyface, but I in this match specifically, I'm more of a Pac fan here because his heel work is just so good. And the facial expressions that he has during the match, in his entrance, after the match, that's something that I always try to, notice. And with Pac, he just sells it really well. He won the match with a low blow, setting up for the Red Arrow. I think it used to be called the Red Arrow, but they might have changed it. But very good match.
Capped it off with a brutalizer, passed another dude out, too. So
that's very true.
And watching it live, the commentators did put an emphasis on the brutalizer, which when I saw it all out, I was like, it was just another finisher.
Right.
So,
and did you notice the records when they came out?
Yeah. I
love that.
Even in the main events, they're logging trios too. So, like, the Elite's trios record was 1-0.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't know that teams are going to have, or just, the Elite.
So Kenny Omega can be 0 whatever as a singles component.
Well, technically, isn't he 0-3 now
right,
or something like that? Yeah.
And now we'll have to see with that main event, but it's a trios record, 1-0.
Yeah, and
the Elite.
And I saw a lot of people, too, and I'm always going to base my opinions of, the reactions to these shows off Twitter. And what I saw is that Pac and Hangman Page just had the match of the night. Maybe on this AEW show they did, but we're going to talk about it in a little bit. Don't know if it was the match of the night. I think it was just the people that were watching AEW that had a gut reaction, So, which is understandable, especially if you're a diehard AEW guy through and through. But after that, we had the first ever AEW Women's Championship matchup between Rio and Nyla Rose. And guess who was on commentary, Tuck?
The doctor. The doctor was in.
We were just talking about her last show. We're like, she's got to be next. And
yeah, we were.
She's next.
She's got to be.
And that's why they placed her out there. I think she was a little, I don't know if she's not used to the whole TV thing, but it seemed a little awkward on commentary.
Yeah, it wasn't as smooth. Now her tone was like, I should be out there. And I don't know if that was on purpose or on accident, but it was it was not as smooth as some of those sit-ins you see with the WWE.
Yeah, and those girls and guys are used to that stuff. But once again, it's just fresh, new stuff for AEW superstars. But going into this match, and I think you agree with me, I totally thought Nyla Rose was walking away with this one.
The only reason I thought Rio would have won was because I don't know that little tiny little belt thing would have.
That
It would have looked like
bad.
a belly ring, bro.
That belt's bad. It's probably the ugliest belt. It looks like a toy, like I'll put on my action figure.
It really does. And the bend in the front plate it's just super bent. And that title looks more feminine and girly than the women's titles in WWE. And I don't care about that. But
no.
It does. The actual AEW men's title is huge and a billboard. And the women's title was, stock option 4, it looked like, or something like that. But I literally said, I don't think she's going to get that around her waist.
No, I wasn't. I thought when I saw that too, I was thinking the exact same thing. But but the tag team belts, I don't know if you saw those. Have you seen those?
I haven't. I have not.
Oh, those might be
Beautiful.
the best looking belts I've seen in
Really?
wrestling. Yeah. You're going to have to pull it up on Google or something. But those belts I'm not going to knock there. But this match itself between Rio and Nyla Rose, it's just your classic David versus Goliath here. I mean, you got Rio, she weighs about 90 pounds. And then you got Nyla Rose, she's probably close to 200. And then eventually, we have that back and forth, your classic stuff where Rio's trying to gain momentum, hitting drop kicks and all that. And then Nyla Rose brought the toys into it. Chairs were being involved. We had a high spot where Rio jumped onto Nyla that was on the chairs. I mean,
yeah.
It was a good way to not have a DQ in the match, but also utilize something to make it more interesting.
And I was actually, I didn't expect it to be a squash match or anything, but Rio looked strong. She got Nyla in the air a few times, and I don't think I expected her to win at all, but it was a good back and forth.
I think it was my favorite match on the show.
And it wasn't so limb targety, right?
No.
You see a lot of that, David Goliath, let me target the knee for 25 minutes, wear her down and get the W. But no, Rio, she looked strong.
And Rio's beaten Nyla before. They had a triple threat match. I forgot what show that was on.
Oh.
She actually pinned Nyla Rose, I believe. So they have history there once again. And you could tell because the chemistry was there. And when you have those two styles, they always just seem to work. And this match worked. And I wasn't expecting Rio to win, but she wins with her double knee finisher. I was really happy with it. And like I said, I think this is the match of the night here. I don't know how long Rio is going to hold that belt.
Right.
Because how much personality does she really have?
Well, and it's going to be tough having her interpreter also has a little bit of a heavy Japanese accent.
Yeah.
Nakazawa. So I don't know.
She needs a Sami Zayn. That's what she needs.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or a Paige,
right.
Like the Kabuki Warriors have.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't. If Britt is next, which is it's kind of weird because Rio's like this cute babyface, Britt's a babyface. I don't know if that's the direction you really can go.
Right.
Or is Rio just going to hold this belt for a week and then next week she's going to have a match and lose? I don't know.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you either way.
It's a tough decision, but Rio, the first ever AEW women's champion, so shout out to her.
Yeah, and I did look up those tag belts, and solid
beauties.
Yes,
beauties. And I wonder who's going to win that tag team tournament, which they really didn't start on this show.
Nope.
I found that weird.
I did too. I did think they announced that it was not the first show. Like it wasn't.
They did?
It wasn't a scratch. I think it was always planned to be the second one. I think it starts next week. But I still don't know why they have a bye when they still have a few tag teams that aren't in that tournament.
Oh yeah,
the Dark Order gets a bye, so I don't know
because they won that match and that Double or Nothing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
to get that bye or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Santana and Ortiz aren't in that tournament, are they?
Right.
Yeah, I don't. And they were just in the main event here against the Elite with Chris Jericho. And I've never seen Tito, or not Tito Santana. I was about to say Tito Santana.
Ortiz.
And then,
Tito Santana, Tito Ortiz.
Oh, it works both ways.
Yep.
Maybe that's why they're Santana and Ortiz. Okay, we're putting 2 to 2 together here. But never seen any of them work. Have you?
Nope.
Yeah, so this is very fresh to us. We of course, have seen the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Chris Jericho, obviously. And this match itself with those 6 guys didn't last very long because somebody made their presence known.
Yeah, John Moxley very quickly. And I was like, I didn't know that could be a thing, that a random person could just run in and just take over a guy from the match and pluck him. But in my head, when that happened, I planned for a Kenny Omega super return to get back to the match and take over in some way. And the coffee table had other plans.
And it was kind of cool, too, because Omega was kind of like powering up in the middle of the ring, and then everybody in the crowd reacts, and you can't see it on the camera because they're doing good camera work here and just focusing. And then behind Omega is Jon Moxley. And obviously he's okay and he's good to go. And then, like you said, Moxley ends up hitting the DDT to Omega through a glass table backstage.
Yeah, and that was after Omega did the cleaner spot, too.
True.
Yeah, and, so that's at that moment in that entryway, I thought that Kenny was going to get some, hit a comeback or something.
Right.
But, yeah, he gone.
Omega's just, I won't say they're burying him because they're absolutely not. That's not what they're doing.
They have a plan.
It's going to be a build, and I think they're beating him down to build him back up.
A nice little slow burn, and not putting all the shine on the Elite and and Cody and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and all that, which I think is smart.
Which they easily could have done, and a lot of people would have done it.
Yeah.
And they're not doing it because the heels get the win in this one. Chris Jericho, Ortiz, and Santana. And you know what? Didn't hate it, but there was a lot going on. Let's just say that. It was hard to keep my focus on the actual wrestling because Omega and Moxley were doing their own thing. But I really like what Santana and Ortiz got going for. I think that AEW themselves might have the best tag division in pro wrestling right now.
I can't disagree with you there because WWE is slapping 2 and 2 together with whoever and just mashing up theme songs. And, the WWE just underutilizes that tag team division.
I think that's a Vince thing. I think Vince just gets, like these ideas. He's like, oh, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode.
Think about this.
Yeah, come on, pal.
Come on.
Just build your tag team division, and that's what AEW is doing with the Elite, with Santana and Ortiz and all the great tag teams that they have. But after the match, Cody would come out for the save because there would be a heel post-match beatdown, which we see many of times in pro wrestling, followed by Dustin Rhodes, formerly known as Goldust. And then we get a reaction of people that, I was very surprised, but Jake Hager, formerly known as Jack Swagger, to close out the show. Didn't
know him as either.
You never knew the whole Jack Swagger, We the People, Put Your Hand on the Heart with Zeb Coulter stuff?
Nope.
Yeah, let me put it to you this way. And this is where I'm a little confused, and I think I can explain this here. So let me rant for a little bit. And this is not me hating on AEW because I like AEW and I like their fans. But some of their fans were making it seem like Jack Swagger was the next big thing in pro wrestling. He came from Bellator because, he was a good MMA fighter after he left WWE.
All-American wrestler.
Yes, All-American wrestler. Everybody knows that.
AEW. Yep.
Yeah, and he was okay at best. He won one world heavyweight title in the WWE, but he always just seemed to never get going, and I think it had to do with his character work. He's not a great talker. He always had to have somebody cut promos for him. And I pulled out a retweet last night just because I was pissed off at fans. I was like, Swagger sucks, and it was from 2014. So I'm on the Swagger sucks train from the beginning, but Jake Hager would make his presence known here at AEW, and I think the reason people are getting excited is because it's another former WWE guy.
Yeah.
It's like, here, we took another guy that you used to have, haha, but it's just like when you took Ty Dillinger, a.k.a. Sean Spears. He's good.
Yeah.
He's expendable.
Take another Dean Ambrose.
Moxley's huge. Jake Hager and Sean Spears are not on the Moxley level.
Like, Dean is the only one that they've pulled from.
True.
People cared about Dean Ambrose. People watched and liked, and he had a base, and AEW, and he ended up at AEW. Do that to someone else.
Yeah.
Shinsuke,
there's options.
There's a ton of names in that mid-tier that could do for a huge AEW push.
Yeah.
Jack Swagger is not the one that I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, especially like you being somebody that's never saw Hager/Swagger work. I'm going to always call him Swagger just because that's how I knew him. But it's going to be hard for you to get excited about that because you never knew who he was. But I'm going to tell you straight up, he's average at best.
Yeah.
And I hate to be Mr. Negative because that's what it sounds like, but it's cool and all. Like, it's cool that you got a new guy that's coming to your company. Maybe you can do something with him.
And it's good for business. It's good for the wrestling fan.
People will talk about it like we are right now, and that's exactly what they want. And they got their views, 1.4 million to be exact. I don't know if you saw that.
It's way bigger than I thought it would be.
A lot of people thought they were going to come a little short of 1 million.
I had him at like in my non-veteran head at like 9.5. Like 8.5 to 9.5.
So they pull 1.4. Overall, what were your thoughts on the very first AEW Dynamite show as a whole?
Very solid, but my mind wasn't blown.
I think that's a good way of putting it.
It was a great Wednesday night TV wrestling show, fundamental, by the book. They had storylines. Their run-ins were good. The cameras were good.
Yeah, that's true.
There wasn't a lot of screw ups. It looks from day one that they know what they're doing. They have a plan. But my mind it didn't explode from the show, but it was a good show.
And I think a big thing nowadays too with me that I've watched all this wrestling, did it make me ever want to change the channel? And I look back at AEW Dynamite, I go, no. I was invested from top to bottom. It was very good wrestling, very good for a first show. I still think they need to tweak some things a little bit, like I was talking to you about the commentary leading into commercial break. I'm just nitpicking at this point, and I obviously think that you're going to have to do more storytelling itself on the mic, because they obviously did it with the post-match beatdowns and the run-ins and all that, and that's going to come. Like I said, this is the first show. Here's our wrestling. That's what you want to showcase. We talked about that last week. Overall, I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10.
And I was right around that ballpark. I had it at 8. But
a little bit higher.
My NXT, and
That's a rookie score, by the way.
I think I'll always be a notch higher than you, and I don't know why.
What the hell are you trying to say, Doug?
No, I'm not cutting a promo.
You don't want to get into this.
I'm not ready for
CPWF.
this.
Let's go. We're bringing it back.
Come on, man.
All right, so that was AEW. We both liked that show. It was very good, but
thumbs up.
NXT. Yeah. We're going to get into that because this is the Wednesday Night Wars. This is, what's fresh in our minds. This is the one I watched first. You were watching it with your split screen action. They kicked off with the biggest thing you could kick off with, the NXT Championship match.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
It's smart.
I don't regret it, or for them,
they
I
don't
regret
either,
it.
probably.
No, like I kept watching.
There's a new show trying to rival you.
Mm-hmm.
Why not kick off with your most important champion? And that is Adam Cole, baby, going up against bro Matt Riddle. And all I got to say is, wow. Wow, Tuck.
They left it out there. My wife watched the whole match. That says a lot.
That's crazy that you bring your wife into this, because I'm saying this is the match that you show someone. This is wrestling. This is why I like watching wrestling. Just back and forth. I mean, we had backbreakers. We had suplexes. We have running knees. Oh, my. There was just so much going on.
Yes.
And it was so smooth because Adam Cole, for some reason, every time he delivers a kick or a punch or anything, it just looks effortless.
It's clean. There's substance to it. Both of them. I was nervous for Matt Riddle in that spotlight. And I don't know why.
Well, I mean honestly, biggest match of his career.
And that's kind of what I was feeling, but for me, that was I think that was my match of the night.
This was the match of the week. And obviously we're recording this on Thursday, so we don't know what happens on SmackDown, but I'm sitting there and I've watched wrestling now, and it's going to sound like nothing to some of these people, for 8 years. I rarely am standing up and vocally getting into it. I'm sitting there in my condo by myself going, holy shit.
Right.
Like some of the moves,
actual reactions.
What
Same.
Cole does, and I bad for not knowing this, but might be the Yuragoshi where he, jumps from the corner of the rope, lands on the neck, and then flips him onto the mat.
I don't know what that's called.
I think that might be what it's called. But
gig.
He had a couple near falls with that, and I think that's like his new setup for the knee finisher, but the spinning running knee, I should say. But, that's exactly how this match finished. Cole barely survived this one. They made Matt Riddle look very strong in defeat.
And his sells after some of those pinfalls, like the one just shoulder shove up in the air. The only thing I can do is just get this shoulder a couple inches off the mat. The facials in both of those guys from top to bottom, start to finish, they looked like they were in agony, that they were out of gas, that they were exhausted, but out of gas in such a positive way, not unconditioned. I literally left it all out there.
And I don't know if you noticed this, too. You probably didn't because you didn't have the volume that loud. But the announcers were talking about how these two can go, and they have the stamina, basically just, hyping that up. And that's why they're still going at this elite level this late into the match. It was great storytelling from the commentary.
Very limited commercials.
Oh, yeah. You can't forget about that. Honestly, they didn't lie, though, because they did split screen.
First 30 minutes.
And then they did split
free.
after that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they ever went to a full screen commercial unless it was Pete Dunne.
I honestly don't think they
Which
did.
gives them an advantage because if you're watching AEW, eventually they're going to go to commercial and it's going to be full screen and you're going to miss stuff.
Yep.
So overall, very, very good match. Match of the year candidate for me, for sure. A+, 100%. But that's not all that happened. I didn't know where you were going with that. Now he sounds like the Druids from Undertaker.
Oh.
Finn Balor.
Yeah, we're there.
He's back, and he's in NXT. And I thought this was just to be like, hey, Finn Balor's coming out after the match.
Cool.
He used to be a part of NXT. Apparently, Finn Balor is NXT. He is there to stay.
That is a flex.
And why do you think they did this?
Come on.
It's obvious.
Come on now.
It's to compete with AEW.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of a perfect guy because he brings star power. He can be at the top of the division. It's one of those we talked about sending this guy or that guy down.
True.
And I don't want to see him lose to. I don't want him to see him in a match with. I think Balor fits right in the mix with Ciampa and Cole.
Yes.
And Riddle and Velveteen, they're all in that same tier, and that was a flex.
Just think of all the matches you can have, like those guys you just named. There's also guys like Pete Dunne out there,
Gargano.
Johnny Gargano, yeah,
Walter. There's dudes.
It's insane, and you need that big name. No disrespect to NXT, Adam Cole's a big name, Johnny Gargano's big for diehard wrestling fans, but people know who Finn Balor is.
And they'll tune in. He has a following. They're going to watch NXT because of Finn Balor, and that was the right move. And it's that flex from NXT saying, "Hey, you've got your roster, AEW. You've got your shows. We
got everything.
It's ours is a mile deep and 3 miles wide, where we can pull from if we need to and can." And they went to the well. He made his return, and he is NXT. And my wife was confused, like, what? She didn't think they could do that.
Yeah, and I think that's very smart now that WWE is going to do that. They have that third brand. They're treating NXT as a third brand.
It's far more equal now.
And I think that's not the last of I shouldn't say main roster anymore, but not the last of the people from Raw and SmackDown going to NXT.
Yeah, it's not the last of the other brands coming down.
Absolutely not. And it's ecstatic. Finn Balor, one of the greatest NXT champions in the history of the brand itself. So
next pay-per-view's War Games.
Oh, yeah. And
right.
then let's go into the moment here. When I see this live, I'm thinking Cole, Balor, War Games.
Yep.
Not so fast in that
right.
one. We'll touch on that a little later.
That's exactly where I went to, too. I'm like,
yep.
oh. Yeah.
And I'm like, we're going to see some good-ass action, that's for sure. But after that, we had the Velveteen Dream come out with his ladies, with his couch, all smooth and suave, just doing what he does best, cutting a promo. He's so good on the mic.
Great body, good hair, good-looking ladies.
Velveteen Dream.
Just everything. And he was cutting a promo at a time where a match was going on in AEW, I believe, and I like watching him. He's a
charismatic, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those guys. When you see Dream on TV, your eyeballs go there. It wasn't his best promo, but it was basically just saying, hey, I'm still in this with Roderick Strong. So things are not finished there. I wouldn't be surprised if we see one final match with them at War Games, since that is the next show in a couple months, probably. Is that 2 months? No, it's like a month and a half now.
Yeah, like
Math,
6 weeks, yeah.
Calendars, all that good stuff. But yeah, solid work there on the promo. Nothing too spectacular. But after that, we would get my girl, and Tuck, you're going to have to hold me back here.
Mia Yim.
No.
Why? Yes. I knew it.
Quite the contrary there. Io Shirai, I love you if you're listening. Shout out to you. If you're single, I'm single. And Mia Yim, who, for some reason, Tuck, she bothers me.
I think she came out. She was an extra on like Fast and the Furious. I think that's
Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, like she's got a Honda Civic. It's got the
blue hair.
Lights. Yeah, just okay.
And I notice every time she comes out too, no reaction. The crowd just like, and no disrespect to Mia Yim, she's a good wrestler. I enjoy watching her wrestle, but the character work is still not there, and it's not doing it for me. But in my personal opinion, this match here with Io was her best match in NXT. And I think that has a lot to do with Io, because when Io gets in the ring, she can go with anyone.
Yep, and it was not a forgettable match, and Mia Yim was in it. So it's kind of in that Lacey Evans conversation where you're like, Lacey Evans had a match, and maybe it didn't suck today, so that's cool.
And there was actually a point where I thought Mia Yim could win, and I love that about wrestling. Sometimes when you think this is going to be an easy squash match, and Io Shirai is just going to walk away with the win. Mia Yim put up a good fight. She was doing outside dives and all that good stuff. So, and then the match would obviously finish with Io Shirai's moonsault, which, other than Ember Moon's Eclipse and maybe a stunner, this might be my favorite finisher in WWE right now. That moonsault she does is beautiful.
It's poetry in motion.
And she never messes up either.
No.
God,
but you can't say that for everyone that does.
Have I told you that? That
what?
I love Io Shirai?
You love Io Shirai?
Yeah. Did you see my tweet about
I'm
her?
going to write that down. I probably.
The Tinder one?
I get so much Too Sweet Kyle, like, okay.
Those are gut reaction tweets, by the way.
Yeah.
I just send them.
No, I get it.
She's getting me hot and steamy right now as Leo leaves the room.
Leo's uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. But yeah, no, honestly, probably the second best match of the night. I really enjoyed this one.
I would put it third.
Oh, shit, I forgot there were so many other good matches. I'm looking at the up and down the card here that we experienced, and this one wasn't it, but we had Johnny Gargano versus Shane Thorne. You can't have another episode without Johnny Gargano because they didn't show him on the first couple 1-hour shows that they had on the USA Network, but he goes up against, Shane Thorne, formerly of TM61. Surprisingly solid action, and Shane actually got a chance to shine, showcase his stuff in a loss, but I think Shane Thorne might have something. I just don't know what it is.
And I'm not very familiar with him, so my first reaction was to him was, okay.
You didn't hate what he did there?
No.
Yeah, and he's like everything that I've seen of him was in tag team wrestling, and he was always bland with the tag team. That whole tag team that they had with Nick Miller, I think it was his name, was just very boring to me. But if they can really figure out something with Shane Thorne, I think they got a good heel here. It was a very good match with Johnny Gargano. How can you have a bad match with Johnny Gargano?
If you know or you think you have an idea, hit us up on Twitter at @PotOnTheMark.
Yeah, usually we don't say send us a bad match, but if you can find a bad Johnny Gargano match.
That's a challenge, I think. I don't know.
Speaking of watching matches, did you do your homework again?
Bro.
Oh, yeah.
I had Raw. I had NXT. I had AEW.
I almost forgot.
Tonight would be a good night after you leave.
You're going to stay awake? I don't know how you do it. I'm going to go straight to bed after this.
I'm fired up, man.
What time do you get up for school? I know this is totally off topic here, but when do you usually wake up?
I roll out of bed about 5:50.
How do you do it? Because I wake up at 6:30 and I'm like, I need to sleep.
I think my body's used to just not sleeping.
Yeah,
I'm in great shape.
That's what it is.
When you're built like a war machine, like I am,
a Viking Raider.
Yeah, and I like Mountain Dew like pulses through me. So
yes, you literally have a Mountain Dew on you, don't you, right now?
Yeah.
9:30 at night here, but so maybe you will do your homework tonight. But let's move on here. NXT Women's Championship match. Of course, they got to have one when AEW has one.
Yep.
We have Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler, and I thought her hooligans would be ringside, but she said, "You know what, girls, I got this." So Shayna was out there by herself this whole time.
I wasn't convinced that she had it the whole time though. Candice looked good.
Candice had, what was it? I think it was like 3 consecutive outside dives when she was out there, Shayna was, and that's when I really started to get into it. I'm like, Candice is getting offense.
Mm-hmm.
Candice looks strong, and I've never been huge on Candice because I honestly, they haven't given her much of a chance.
Right. She was very vanilla to me for a long time. Just good female, beautiful wrestler.
Yeah, and
Cool.
Johnny's wife. That's basically how they portrayed it here. This entire match made me forget that she has anything to do with Johnny Gargano. She's her own person.
Right.
And I think that's exactly what they wanted out of this. Make her look strong, even though she wasn't able to win. I personally became a big fan of hers after this match. Candace, that is.
Shayna's not going anywhere.
Shayna's just the model of consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Always has good matches with every kind of style other than Mia Yim. I got to throw that out there. That's the only bad Shayna match I think I've seen. And she just keeps growing. I know she's older. I think she's in her upper 30s, but when she started at NXT, she was, very blah. But now she knows what she is, and she plays it so damn well. And
I think it's a smart move on NXT's part to keep her there a little bit longer, not push her out right before the draft and have her get drafted, unless, there's still a week in wrestling.
Is that next week?
I think it is, yeah. The 11th or something.
This. This is totally on.
It's the 11th.
Oh, it is? I was about to ask
That's
Siri.
my guess. Ask Siri.
We're going to do this.
Confirm
Hey,
with
Siri. When is the WWE draft?
Okay.
All right, she doesn't know. She gave me Wikipedia of WWE draft. So thanks a lot, Siri, for nothing. But great storytelling in this match with Candice and Shayna. Shayna retains. And what's next now? That's what I want to know. Who's next, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at the Fatal 4-Way. We had Io, we had Bianca, and we had Candice. You would think it maybe be other two? Bianca?
I think Mia Yim is on the Starship.
Can you stop?
Okay.
No, do you really believe that? I don't know. Oh, okay.
I do not. Bianca Belair, sure.
I think now it has to be Io or, hear me out, and I got to credit our brothers, Work in Progress. They tweeted this. Asuka comes back to NXT. Challenges Shayna
That's a
Baszler.
perfect one. That's a perfect one. We talked about her seeming discontent in the tag team of the Kubaki Warriors. Shout out to Wheelhouse Pod again.
How many Wheelhouse plugs are you going to get? And I haven't got one Family Divided plug.
We're recording on Saturday.
So you're back.
Breaking news.
So if you like baseball, at Wheelhouse Pod. But yeah, what were we talking about?
The next person in line to face Shayna Baszler, and it could be Asuka. That's smart. You can't send Ember Moon back down this soon. It would seem like a demotion.
Because what's Ember doing right now?
Right.
Honestly, you might have had something there. I think they could do that.
Well, I think Asuka's more on that Finn Balor level to send down.
True.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
Yeah, no, that definitely could work. So if it's
get her in a compelling program.
This has got to be a babyface too.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do Io and Shayna, you're going to get people behind. I don't know. Who would they be behind, you think? Io or Shayna? Because Shayna's got her fans. When you listen and watch NXT TV, there's Shayna fans. You see them doing the whole spade thing with their fingers.
I don't know.
That's very interesting. But we'll see where they go with next. But shout out to Candice LeRae. You gained a fan in me after that match. Next up, we had Pete Dunne versus Danny Burch. I actually didn't watch any of this because I was watching AEW. This is when I switched.
It was fine.
Yeah.
That's all I got, too.
They've had matches before, so like if you've seen these two wrestle, it's what you expect. Hard-hitting action. Pete Dunne gets the win. It's like showing Pete Dunne, like, hey, he's still here.
He's here as well.
But there was something that happened after the match. Did you catch that?
I'm going to wait for you to tell me.
Damian Priest made his presence known, formerly known as Punishment Martinez. He attacked Pete Dunne afterwards, and I was always wondering, what are they going to do with Damian Priest? When are they going to show him? Him and Pete Dunne could have one hell of a program because you got Pete Dunne, who's now probably a face, but he's this badass bruiserweight. Mm-hmm. And then you have the dark Damian Priest, who I think this is going to be a feud to keep an eye on. And we probably will see it at War Games.
I saw 0% of that.
Oh, you never caught that?
No.
I was very shocked, too. I was like, because I think the lights dimmed a little bit. I was like, oh, no, it's Bray Wyatt. No, it's Damian Priest. But I'm a big Damian Priest fan. That's a guy I want you to keep an eye out there, everybody that's listening right now. But yeah, Pete Dunne gets a victory over Danny Burch, which would lead us to the main event of NXT this week, which was the NXT Tag Team Championship match between the Undisputed Era and the Street Profits.
Which this was my second best match of the night.
I would agree with you.
I liked it.
I mean, we've seen all these guys work together before. All four always put on a good show. They know how to play to their strengths. And I think technically, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, other than the Revival, are probably the most technical tag team you can have, and I mean that in a compliment.
Yeah, they were very solid, and this match was going on right as the 6-man tag was going on.
The fiasco of AEW.
Right, and here's my thought from watching the two at the same time.
Yeah, let's hear it.
As soon as Kenny Omega was out, like through the coffee table.
Eyes moved.
Yes. And I stayed watching that. AEW cut right at 10, textbook right on time, and NXT ran over too.
See, I didn't know they were purposely, because it was on my guide. It said 9:15. I don't know if they just did that this week, because I feel like it was always set for 9.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was their idea, like, all right, we know people are going to stop watching, obviously, at 10 that we're watching Dynamite. They're going to switch over and watch the end of this, which they
Good
definitely
finish.
caught a really good
finish.
match.
The minutes that they got at the end of that was solid.
Because right when AEW turned off, that's basically when Roderick Strong got involved. And, of course, you knew he was going to show up because he's part of the Undisputed Era. And him getting involved would end up distracting the Street Profits, who I think they keep getting better at wrestling.
I don't know them a ton. I don't have a huge back catalog of them. That match was good.
And I tweeted this, and I'm going to say it again here on the podcast. If you're not following me, at Too Sweet Kyle, do that right now. That's right. I think Montez Ford is going to be a star.
God, he's a good-looking man. Bianca Belair's onto something.
And that's another thing. And this is something I pointed out on. I think Bianca should be a part of the Street Profits. Kind of like how Carmella was with Big Cass and Enzo.
Yeah.
Don't make her that annoying hype girl. Just make her kind of the female muscle.
A strong piece in that faction, because Bianca is not a side piece. She is a front runner. And that faction, that Street Profit type faction, they showed them walking in together. You know, they get down together, obviously.
Wale was with them, man. Did you see that? Wale came out with them.
That was all right.
You even know who Wale is?
I do. Lotus Flower Bomb.
Firefly. Isn't that the song? Yeah. Oh, Firefly. Funhouse. Shout out to that. But yeah, the Undisputed Era would retain here, and then Adam Cole would come out because, you know, the boys got to celebrate. They got to show off the gold. Everybody's showing off their gold. And then no one will survive.
Bang, yeah.
Did I kill that or what?
You killed my one good ear. Yep.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I forgot you got the headphones on. I don't have mine on, so I can't even hear myself yell. But Tommaso Ciampa's back after 8 months in a severe neck injury. Holy crap. You have Finn Balor come back at the beginning of the show, and then to close, you have one of the best NXT champions in the history of the brand, Ciampa, show up.
And you've got Adam Cole smack dab in the middle.
So now, when we were originally thinking Finn, Cole, we're now thinking, is Ciampa going to be involved? Is it a 3-person thing? Or are we going to have kind of a battle of him working back to get Goldie, which is what he called his belt, with Finn Balor?
Okay, so the match at War Games last year was Undisputed Era versus the Viking Raiders.
And was Pete Dunne involved in that? Crap, I feel like I should know that. What was that? You're talking about War Games last year?
Yeah, War Games 2018. Undisputed Era, War Games 2019 versus Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano, Velveteen Dream, Tommaso Ciampa.
Maybe that's what we're building towards.
Make it a 90-minute match. Just book that one.
And who's going to complain about that?
Right.
No one. And last year's was the Viking Raiders, Ricochet, and Pete Dunne versus the Undisputed Era. Also on that card, we had Velveteen Dream going against Ciampa, who is now back, and Shayna Baszler faced off against Kairi Sane. That's another name.
Yeah.
She could come back to NXT too, but
yeah,
Ciampa's back, Balor's there. AEW or NXT, we got to go to it. Which was your favorite show this week? Because we're going to have to compare these two. It's the Wednesday Night Wars, even though we're team wrestling. We like both. But you have to pick one, gun to your head.
NXT.
All day, every day? All day, every day.
All day yesterday, yeah.
And any reasons why? You think just...
More powerful moments to me. The wrestling from both was good. You had good matches, but I thought the Riddle-Cole match was great. I thought the Street Profits match at the end was great.
Candice
and
Mia and Io.
They were all good.
Yeah.
They were all good. You had the Finn Balor pop. You had the Tommaso Ciampa pop. I think Triple H got nasty with it. Again, didn't punt. Took AEW very seriously. And although they drew fewer viewers... Yeah,
I think NXT was 8-9 or something like that.
890,000,
yeah.
I think you're right. A lot of the Twitter polls have the AEW all hyped up, but I think I think that's opinions of people that I don't know.
I think,
watched them both, and my eyes were on NXT far longer. And I'm not 10 times more familiar with those wrestlers than I am AEW.
Right.
I know them better, but I thought the wrestling I was pulled there more between the two screens.
I find it hard to believe if you're someone that actually watches these both shows from an unbiased standpoint, and that's what I'm doing here because we both are Team AEW and WWE. We're going to shows in the future.
We're team wrestling fan. Like, we just like wrestling.
Exactly. I don't know how you could sit there and say AEW was better. It was good. I'm not knocking Dynamite because it's a very good first week show.
As its debut, it was incredible.
Oh, absolutely. If NXT wasn't on, I would be like, holy shit.
Very satisfied.
Right. Mm-hmm. I would be hyping up AEW right now. But since they're on the same time slot this week, for the very first time, I'm giving the nod to NXT.
It goes longer than you think.
All right, keep it going. Oh, yeah, there we go. Lasts as long as I do. And then we're going to go to the main roster, or should I say Monday Night Raw, the season premiere.
Yeah, that happened.
I almost forgot that happened after the whole Wednesday night wrestling fiasco we had going on.
Yeah, and I feel like if we were to lead off with that, okay.
Nobody really cares about that right now. They wanted to hear about the Wednesday Night Wars. But if you're still with us and you're a diehard WWE fan,
what did you rate NXT? If AEW got a 7.5, do you bump NXT up to an 8?
Call me crazy, but at least you called me. 9.2.
I was at around a 9. Yeah,
it's especially for a weekly show. This wasn't a takeover. It felt like a takeover.
It could have been.
It felt like
they run nice, tight, lean, not drawn out pay-per-views the way that WWE actually does. So.
The only thing, if I'm going to get nitpicky again, Danny Burch and Pete Dunne was okay. Other than that, every match delivered. It had a purpose. Same with AEW. It just so happened that NXT was better. But Monday Night Raw, we got a brand new stage. We got a brand new announce team. And we got Pyro back. Yeah, so that's something.
Well done, too. I like the stage.
I was going to say, what do you think of the whole new...
It's not super crazy different, but I do think it's innovative.
Looks like a half pipe.
It does. I saw the Tony Hawk memes.
I don't think I saw that.
I saw one where
that one.
It was someone cropped a picture of Tony Hawk like above it.
Should have been Darby Allin with his skateboard.
It would have been, yeah.
That makes sense.
But it's cool, and I like the pyro making moments on TV feel bigger, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it. It's the only thing is it's the entranceway was kind of off-centered, which is kind of weird to me, but I think it's very 2019, and I mean that in a good way. It's very modern. You're keeping things fresh. They got a new intro. They got a new song. Not sold on the commentary yet. I think that's going to take time.
Yep.
I don't think that the Madden guy, isn't that his last name? Dio,
yeah.
He seemed a little rusty. Might have been nerves, whatnot.
His biggest pop was when he was explaining LARPing. So he's got that niche.
He's got the nerdy niche going on for them. And I've never been a big fan of Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. It's just
he's very. To me, took me back to being a kid and
it's the same video game commentary too that you hear when he does the video games. Like he says the same jokes and they're terrible and corny. Oh man, the King, man, he just doesn't make anything better. That's for sure. But they would kick off Monday Night Raw here September 30th with Rey Mysterio. We thought it was going to be the Universal title match, but he came out in jeans. He was going to cut a promo, and the promo didn't last long, Tuck.
Right after Jerry the King went, we're going to kick it off with the Universal title match here. Okay, he's all right.
Did I ever tell you I met the King twice?
Did you?
First time was in the mall in Indianapolis before Survivor Series, then the day the Shield debuted. I was wearing my Dolph Ziggler t-shirt. Ryan was wearing his Ryback. Ryan's my brother, if you didn't know, listening.
The man.
And no, that's Becky Lynch. And I was like, hey, Jerry, can we get a picture? So I got a picture with him there. And then another time I went with Aaron Oros, the listener. Shout out to him, future guest. And we were just sitting there watching college football. And the Jerry the King Lawler came into the bar. And he
told me about that one.
Yeah, he had an ice cream sundae.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Nothing like Jerry the King Lawler walking into a bar and just getting an ice cream sundae. So, yeah, 2 times I've met him.
Yeah, so Mysterio kicks things off. And, shout out to Dominic for keeping him in it. Shout out to that jacket that he was wearing with It had him and Eddie Guerrero on the back from Halloween Havoc.
Gotta love Eddie.
Nice.
Yes.
And then
Dun, 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 dun. This just turned into a WWE sing-along, but that's Brock Lesnar's music if you didn't know.
Yeah. Comes down to the ring, swipes the mic from Rey Mysterio, gives it to Paul Heyman. Mysterio swipes it back. I thought that was a good moment.
It was.
And it was enough. That mic swipe was enough to get the man to snap.
You don't trigger the beast, and that's exactly what Rey Mysterio did there. Let's just put it bluntly. Rey almost died. And He hit him with a couple F5s. We thought that was going to be it. Brock starts to look ringside at Dominic, who is his son. Dominic gets involved.
Shout out to Dominic's friends for actually looking terrified.
They sold that very well.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if his friends do a little wrestling, too, because you obviously know Dominic does, because he was bumping his ass off.
He got after it.
And it was very... imagine, this is your first... I think it's his first bumps he's taking in the WWE. Oh, yeah, we're just going to have Brock Lesnar throw you.
Ever heard of him? Yeah.
Yeah, only one of the strongest guys in the world.
What else could go wrong?
So props to Dominic, too, because he sold the hell out of it. But
And they were not those. There's a lot of those supported type bumps where I can help you down. I can get you down, and it can look rough. But no, like he's throwing him against the rail, throwing him on the mat outside the ring, throwing him across the ring.
Yeah.
Like, those are spots that can go wrong.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Dominic.
Yeah, and then he would end up getting stretchered off here. In my opinion, very hot start to Raw. It might have went a few minutes too long because it kind of get repetitive after that.
Mm-hmm.
Saw a lot of people questioning why are you doing this? Are you setting up a Lesnar-Ray thing? I think this is just basically we need to get more heat on Brock before Friday when he faces Kofi. Everybody loves Ray. Have him attack his son. Mm-hmm. Oh, my God, you're destroying a whole family.
Start the season premiere off with two faces that everybody knows. And I don't know that this is going to develop into a program.
It probably won't.
It can't. Like, Ray's as big as his thigh, dude.
Yeah, you can't actually sell a Rey Mysterio Brock Lesnar match in 2019. It's just
right.
It's not going to happen. It happened back in the day on SmackDown, but not anymore. But overall, a very hot start. I enjoyed it. Did its purpose. And we moved on to Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss still one half of the tag team championships, but it's another singles match here. No Nikki, no Bailey, but we get the man on commentary, which is she got her smoke back in her entrance. I don't know if you noticed
that was cool. Yeah.
I think she liked that too.
She mentioned it. I got my smoke back.
And once again, the commentary, oh my God, was so bad. Not Becky.
Right.
The King was like, Becky, you told me you weren't going to do this. You told me you were not going to get involved. I'm like,
right.
Can the King just shut up for once and just let things, develop?
Oh, but you didn't say you wouldn't get involved after the match, and
that ruined this whole entire. Because once you have bad commentary and a sideshow going on, it distracts the actual wrestling that's happening.
I agree, and they also did the ambulance sirens in the background.
Yeah, what was that?
I
know what it was, but still,
I don't know why you would pipe the sound over the whole. I don't know.
And you have two very good wrestlers, Sasha Banks, Alexa Bliss, going at it. And it's kind of just all distracting with Lynch on commentary and all that. But a cool spot that would end up, leading to her win. Sasha would call for Bailey, who wasn't there, act like she was ringside. Mm-hmm. She wasn't. It distracted Alexa Bliss. She gets the win. It's the little things, Tuck.
Sasha's coming back as this craftier, way more. She's got way more tools in her tool belt now.
Very articulate.
And she's showing many different sides. So every time she's on the TV, I want to see what happens next. From that little Bailey pop to the chair spot.
Yeah, that's it.
Little things like that refresh a character, and
just another layer to her character ever since she's been back. Like, oh, wow. Not a lot of people do that, and that's something you got to notice. And I didn't notice it, honestly, until I saw it pop up on Twitter, rewatched it all, and I was like, wow, that's very good from Sasha. But just another weird way to book a tag team champion. I guess, once again, they don't care about the tag team division. This is why AEW is better than you, a tag team.
Yep, I agree.
I'm sorry, but that's just not how you do it there. But it makes sense. Sasha's got Becky this Sunday. Becky would then talk after the match. They get a good stare down. We got Hell in the Cell on Sunday. Mm-hmm. We're not doing a Hell in the Cell preview, Tuck.
Well, it would be about 10 minutes.
Yeah, because we're sitting here on a Thursday, 3 days away, and we have 3 matches.
Now, the 3 matches we have are Sasha Becky.
Correct.
Charlotte Bailey?
No, that is not official.
Oh, it's not official.
We got Sasha Becky, The Fiend and Seth
Fiend and
Rollins,
Seth Rollins,
and the tag team match with Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and Harper and Rowan.
Oh, yeah. I also saw Shinsuke Ali rumored.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
confirmed.
sure these matches are going to pop up. I wouldn't be surprised if AJ Styles had a match because, he's a champion or something.
Yeah.
Or Kabuki Warriors face Bliss and Cross and lose, probably.
Right.
But, I mean, we know this one's happening. We got Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. Becky is still the champ. How do you see Sunday playing out? In the cell, might I add.
I say Becky Lynch retains.
Really?
Mm-hmm. That it's just a gut feeling. I don't have a ton of substance behind it, but
Do you think it's to prolong this even more?
I think so.
No,
Maybe, I don't know.
So say Becky does retain in the cell. How does she do it? Is there a specific,
Nope.
way? Just
I've got
straight
nothing.
up, yeah.
Becky has the title at the end of the night.
Just
I'm doing the
gut feeling.
Gagliardi from last pay-per-view, yeah.
Okay. All right, then.
That's my too sweet preview.
I'm going to go the opposite of you.
Okay.
I think Sasha Banks is going to win because, one, she's got the history in Hell in the Cell.
Mm-hmm.
They've been bringing that up in promos, and I think that's going to be an advantage, quote-unquote, for her. And two, no disrespect to Becky because she's still very hot with the championship right now. I just think if we prolong this even more with Sasha chasing, it's too much.
Yeah.
If Sasha loses somehow again, I can't take Sasha seriously.
That's true. That's a good point.
So, for me, I think you need to strike now. Sasha Banks, get some more heat on her for beating Becky in Hell in the Cell. I think it should main event. I don't know how you feel about that.
I could just like redheads. It could just be a thing.
I mean, I don't hate you for that, and I don't think Seth Rollins would hate you for that either.
Still happily married, but
yeah, so is he. Well, going
happily
to be married. Engaged.
Happily about to be married.
I would be too, but I think Sasha Banks wins. You're going with Becky Lynch still, no matter what?
Yeah, sure.
All right, cool, because I'm going to beat you in these predictions, all three matches of it.
Okay.
Let's move on here
There's
to one of the... Was there three on this one, or am I thinking of NXT? No, this is just one of... No, there was three on this show, too. There was three championship matches here on Raw. I almost forgot. The Tag Team Championship, our guys, Ziggler and Rude, and Heavy Machinery. It was almost too much.
This is a match made in heaven for the On the Mark Wrestling podcast. We are a Dolph, Rude, and Heavy Machinery podcast. It has been confirmed.
100% correct. Very fun match. And when I mean fun, I mean actually fun because...
Just a fun match. Good wrestling, a fun match. Heavy Machinery looks strong.
The crowd is starting to really get behind them, too.
Yeah, poor Tucky, because he gets into the ring and they're like, come on.
Tucky's the muscle. Well, so is Otis, too. But, like, Otis just so much, going on with him that you can't keep your eyes off of it. But from a wrestling standpoint, I think this was Heavy Machinery's best match. I think this really clicked. I liked it. But Ziggler and Rude retain. What are your thoughts with, just them retaining and what they're kind of doing with Heavy Machinery right now?
I think they are building them. I don't know where they're going to end up. I don't know what it's going to look like. That whole match, I didn't see them winning.
I agree.
I still have that in my head that
it was too soon. I think
they're going to look good. I still think we could be a month, 6 weeks, 8. It wouldn't surprise me.
Or what if it's Sunday? What if they just throw that together? Hey, here you go.
Also, wouldn't surprise me because
with WWE. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a very WWE thing to do. But with the draft coming up, you think this team, the Heavy Machinery duo, benefits more from being on Raw, or are they a SmackDown team in your eyes? Do you want them on that Friday Fox spot, or do you keep them on Raw?
I would bump them to Friday.
Okay.
If you're going to leave Dolph and
True
Rude there, that's my only reason why. I don't really.
I think to go along with your point is I think they're going to have the Street Profits kind of be a Raw thing.
Yeah.
Because they've been doing the backstage things on Raw. I think that's where they're going to land. And they're kind of that comedy, lighthearted, fun team to get behind, kind of like Heavy Machinery. So you kind of split those two up. Would like to see Heavy Machinery be SmackDown. Showcase them on Friday nights on Fox. I'm sure you would get the casual fan interested by seeing Otis go right, just shaking his, what?
They had a comment that they're like, oh, he's starting the match without his straps on. He hasn't had the straps for 2 weeks.
New look Otis. Thoughts?
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I don't want.
You have a Heavy Machinery shirt, don't you?
I do. I'm blue collar solid, baby.
Bringing that to SmackDown on whenever that.
Well, they'll be drafted, so I will wear it to that show.
We need to get on the Mark T-shirts, man.
I know.
I need that.
I have people.
Okay.
I have people.
If you would like an On the Mark Wrestling Podcast T-shirt, let us know. Just text one of us if you know us personally, or slide in our DMs because it go down.
That's where it goes down. It goes down in the DMs.
It go down at Pod on the Mark.
Oh, down in the DMs.
You know where it doesn't go down is on Miz TV this week. Because what the hell was that?
It was. I actually thought it was better than what I expected.
You actually somewhat enjoyed this. We had Ric
didn't
Flair.
say that.
Well, let's just
I
set the
didn't say
table here.
that.
Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Hart. It was a mess. I'm going to be honest with you. For me.
I thought Ric Flair had a few points where he didn't look like an idiot.
I thought you were going to say a few drinks because I thought
No,
that
too.
too.
No, more than a few. Yeah, he was.
I think that was
he was
implied.
primed.
So
Yeah.
it kind of was what you expected it to be. All over the place, and I didn't know where they were going with this. Could you have told me where they were going to go with this?
At the start, if you told me that they were about to book a match for Crown Jewel or whatever, no.
There was a second there I thought they were going to book Hogan versus Flair, and I'm like, absolutely no one in their right mind besides this crowd for some reason that's chanting one more match. Why would you want to see that?
You say things. Sometimes you say things you don't mean.
Yeah, and I think especially if you're in a live audience, you're going to chant those kind of things. But this was all to set up Crown Jewel that will happen in Saudi Arabia at the end of the month that we will not even talk about because we don't care about these Saudi shows. They're just glorified house shows for the Saudi people. But we're going to have Team Hogan versus Team Flair. And then we found out that Seth Rollins is the captain for Team Hogan.
And it's kind of funny because they came up with it, right?
Yeah.
Me versus you, Team Hogan, Team Flair. Here's my captain.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
It's like, yeah, we know you guys had this
Right.
plan in the back. But the weird thing about it was we would find out that Randy would be the captain for Team Flair, which makes sense. It goes back to their Evolution days. And he would bring King Corbin around. The partner, the new guy that they would bring along for Team Hogan is Rusev.
Okay.
Thought Rusev was a bad guy here.
Yeah, I don't. Mm-hmm.
So Rusev now apparently is good because he's going to be on Team Hogan. We're supposed to like Team Hogan because they have Seth Rollins, right? Am I following this?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Brilliant booking.
And let's book a show that is going to happen in a month rather than build to something that is going to happen this Sunday. I don't know if you heard of it, Hell in Cell.
Well, they got 3 matches though.
And so now we have that going on, and I'm supposed to like Rusev now, which I never hated Rusev, but I guess he's a face. But we would find out he's going to have a match with Seth Rollins later for the Universal title. So not only is he going to team with him in a month, he's also going to fight him. So
there you go. Seth Rollins just gets all, tied up in these tag teams, these friendships.
He's a busy man.
He is.
Got to give that man a vacation.
He's a busy man's man.
Oh, I see what you did there, Tucky Becky Lynch. Okay. And, I just want to throw this out there, too. Now that AEW started and we had the Wednesday Night Wars, we're not going to touch on every single thing that happened on every show, especially like Raw and SmackDown are going to be longer because there's just too much going on.
There's a lot going on.
So we're going to skip, a bunch of stuff like Ricochet and Cesaro.
We got full-time jobs, man.
I mean, come on. We got... mine's technically full-time, but we're not going to say anything more than that because some people could be listening, Doc.
Hey.
Let's move on to the United States Championship match between the phenomenal AJ Styles and Cedric Alexander. Surprised we even had this match again.
Yep.
But I don't want to be negative because I like this match. What did you think of it?
I thought it was a pretty good match. Kept my attention, good spots, but not over the moon to see it again.
Really?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I'm not saying I want to see it again, but this was their best match I think they've had.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Those two had their best match. It was just there was no build, no excitement. It was kind of like tossed in. So it was hard for me to emotionally get behind it after dealing with all that turmoil with Flair and Hogan.
That was a lot. I mean, from a storyline standpoint, it just feels like too much. But from a wrestling point of view, love the match. And just whenever AJ can find a new way to counter into a Styles clash, he did it once again here with Alexander. The finish was crisp. It was awesome. I was a little worried. I thought we have 3 title matches tonight. One of these titles is going to change. No.
Nah, man.
That's not what's going to happen. AJ Styles retains. Who's next for AJ Styles, Tuck?
Yep.
I've heard of Yep, a big up-and-comer from NXT.
I don't... I don't care.
Were you about to say Baron Corbin? I got one for you. Gable. Why not? Gable. Aleister Black. Oh, bang.
I forgot he was a thing.
Yeah, can we get more backstage? I know we're getting the AOP ones, which is nice.
It's rented space, man.
Give me some Aleister Black stuff. I enjoy that. He's good.
Yeah, I do too.
You have his autograph, don't you? It's somewhere down here.
Slight flex.
Yeah, speaking of...
And Johnny Gargano's.
Ooh,
I've looked back. And some Asian guy I've never heard of, too.
I'm trying to think of who it could be.
It ain't him, whoever you're thinking
Okay, well, then we'll move on to the main event. But before the actual main event itself, we saw a limo. What was going on in your head when you saw that limo?
What is going on? I don't know.
Do you have any guesses on who that was
No,
from?
I thought it was going to be like a legend. Like what?
I was worried it was like Steph. I thought
Yeah.
Stephanie was going to make her appearance or something. Because she hasn't been on TV in a while.
She was at NXT.
She was. She was ringside. So was Scott Hall. So was Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
You know, the Good Brothers were there, that's for sure. But going into that, I did not expect the person to be in the limo that we would end up finding out. Well, the main event was Rusev versus Rollins for the Universal title. And it kind of, this reminds me of AEW's main event because the wrestling took a back seat to what would end up happening. And what would end up happening is Bobby Lashley's music would hit.
Yeah.
What would happen after that?
He had a Lana day or a Lana evening.
All of the above, I guess you could say. He
Hmm.
said it's tasted like strawberry as he continued to make out with Lana in front of her husband, Rusev, during the middle of the match.
I didn't like it as a husband guy,
As a human,
right?
Like,
are they splitting in real life?
no,
or
I don't think so. So they want us to totally ignore in 2019 the fact that Lana and Rusev are happily married just because Lashley brought her out of a limo onto Monday Night Raw in the middle of the main event and started making out with her. Follow that?
Yeah, we're diving deep here.
I mean, I totally saw Lashley coming back, but once again, what happened to the gender storyline with Rusev? I guess that's done. We're ditching that whole idea.
Yeah.
Now he's in another weird angle where his wife has cheated on him with Bobby Lashley. So Rollins obviously gets the win here via DQ because The Fiend would come out and attack him to end Raw with the mandible claw and all that good stuff. So The Fiend ends the show once again. I don't know if this was the time for The Fiend just because of what just transpired. It seemed like a lot.
It was thrown in and rushed. It wasn't that one of those iconic Fiend moments where the Strowman one is still one of my favorites. The Rollins one on the Titantron at the end of the pay-per-view.
Right.
Yeah, it just happened.
And the whole, I mean, I'm going to give it a chance. I'm seeing a lot of hate on it, the Lashley-Rusev thing, because I always like to let things develop before I really base my opinion on it, but not a hot start here. Especially, it's just going back to the world we live in nowadays with social media. We know Rusev and Lana are like a couple, so it's hard for me to like hate Bobby Lashley right now because you know this is a work. Like, this is not real.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, and obviously Rusev had to okay this because you're not going to just do this without asking for his permission. But out of all the things you can have for Rusev and Bobby Lashley, let's just throw Lana in there, and that's about where we're going to go with that.
Yeah, a lot of cucking going on.
I know, Bogus, I think either texted me or tweeted at him. He's like, just a whole lot of cucking going on Monday Night Raw nowadays.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just, the whole ending was a mess. I think it wasn't a good way to end the show for once with The Fiend. I don't think he was needed there. I mean, obviously, he needed to show up because they did nothing the entire show with The Fiend and Rollins, but maybe he could have just, shown his face, flashed it across the screen at the end. That's about it. Hey, I'm The Fiend. I'm here.
Yeah.
And then Corbin and Randy just watched this whole thing go down without doing a thing. That's another thing. Why are they just standing there?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. It was a decent show. I will say the season premiere was solid. If I were to give it a letter grade, I'd give it a C+, which is average run of the mill.
Yeah, and I thought I was a little underwhelmed with it being the season premiere, I thought.
Yeah, there's a lot more opportunities to do bigger things, which it looks like they decided to do on NXT, which, if we're comparing all three of these shows that we have seen so far this week, NXT is obviously
NXT's won all of them.
NXT, AEW, Monday Night Raw, and it really isn't even close after
I don't
that.
think so. The 1 and 2 is a closer. I still think NXT is the definitive winner.
Oh, 100%. There's going to be people that are going to respond to this, be like, "Oh, AEW."
It was great.
I don't know. It bothers me that maybe it's just me being a WWE guy from the very start. I don't know, but we got a big show tomorrow. It's SmackDown. It's making its move to the Fox, and we got a lot
to the Fox.
The actual Fox. But we got a lot of things going on in a 2-hour show here, Tuck. You want to run down a couple of the things?
Well, we've got the return of The Rock.
Can't wait for that.
I'm also excited. And again, that's that loaded show. I think Sting's supposed to be there, Stone Cold, Goldberg. Again, 120 minutes. No, not even because of commercials. You've got Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon in a ladder match. You got the 4 Horsewomen tag match. You got Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston.
Those are probably the only 3 wrestling matches.
Probably going to have Lacey Evans versus Natalia because that's we like that.
I do think there's some sort of singles match going on with the Roman Reigns. It might be Rowan versus Roman again. I think they're having a match there too. So I think the only 4 matches we're going to see is the KO, the 4 Horsewomen, Brock, Kofi, and Rowan and Roman. But I want to get your predictions on 2 of these because the other 2, they're just matches that we're going to watch and we're going to probably enjoy. But Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon, this match actually means something. It's the ladder match for the contract.
Which means I think it doesn't have a finish.
Really?
And they push it to Hell in a Cell some way. Out of the cell. Shane, don't jump off that thing again.
I was going to say, are we going to do that whole spot?
Yeah.
So you're calling a no finish on this one?
Someone's got to come in. Someone's got to wreck it because how do you actually cut one of them? You know what I mean?
True.
So I think there's a no finish there. Maybe rather quickly. Maybe something happens. It doesn't happen. They push it off. I think I don't know.
I think it's very possible, too. And I'm really curious on what they're going to start off the show with. Because you would think Brock Kofi will end it. Maybe you start with The Rock because it's The Rock. You're going to get that pop. And,
Cut it. Mm-hmm.
So Kevin and Shane probably are going to sit somewhere in the middle. If that's the case, I think we are going to have a winner. And obviously it makes sense for Kevin Owens to win. I don't think Shane winning this match does anything for Kevin Owens other than he would get sent to NXT because they said he'd be fired.
Well, and he sent out that cryptic tweet, too.
Yeah, so maybe he does lose and go to NXT, but I don't see Kevin Owens going anywhere again. Kevin Owens needs to get that momentum back because it's kind of been lost a little. He was very Stone Coldish with the stunner and all that and the anti-authority.
Some of those moments, yeah.
We need Kevin Owens to win here, and I think that's what's going to happen. But
I hope so, too.
Other than that, we might as well predict probably the biggest match of the night, Brock Lesnar versus Kofi Kingston for the WWE Championship. Is Kofi's time over?
I do believe so. I think I said this last time, though, too.
Yeah, and I think we both can agree, but we totally thought that Randy Orton was going to take it from Kofi last time. And
yeah.
Here we are once again. But the move to Fox, you got your big match.
Get the Lesnar pop.
You know Lesnar's going to get a reaction. If Kofi does win.
Raymond? Okay.
Say Kofi wins. How does he win? And who's next? Like that,
right.
We're at this question again where do you go after this for Kofi?
And I think it's went well for them since introducing Brock kind of a little bit more out of nowhere with this big Fox push.
Brock's full time now. I saw reports he might do house shows, which is crazy.
Wow.
I don't know if I believe
they
that.
need to bring that back to Hammond, by the way.
Have they not been there in a couple of years?
It's been a while.
Yeah. I've never been to that place, but yeah, Brock Lesnar. That's your pick. Sticking with it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go with the new day. No, I ain't going with Kofi Kingston.
It's a new day. Yes,
it's a new day. It's a new champ. Brock Lesnar is going to win this match. And for once, I am going to be happy with a Brock Lesnar win.
Does Rey Mysterio come back and screw with the match at all? Help Kofi retain.
That might be the way Kofi retains. Now you got me thinking. Now the wheels are turning. If Kofi wins, that's the only way you could do it, I think. Because can you really book Kofi winning like clean off of Trouble in Paradise on Brock Lesnar?
No.
Not believable. No. If Ray gets involved, 619s him into a Trouble in Paradise?
Yeah. And that, ref spot, refs over here doing,
Then maybe. But I think if Ray's not getting involved, there's no way Brock loses this match.
Ray could... how many F5s did he take?
A lot.
Right.
At least 4.
Right.
And I know Dominic took a couple himself. But, SmackDown, very excited for it. Going to watch it live. Are you going to watch it live?
Yep.
With Vogus, aren't you?
I'm probably going to end up at Vogus' house because we're going to see Buff Bagwell.
Yeah, he's going to be at Bridges Scoreboard. Shout out to them.
$10.
Sponsor of Griffle Ball, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah.
On the Overtime Sports Network. But loaded week of wrestling. We had a lot to talk about there. But you know what? We'll come back to you guys next time with some SmackDown talk because obviously some big things are probably going to happen.
Yeah, next episode we're going to be covering SmackDown. We're going to cover all 3 matches from Hell in a Cell. Yeah, and hopefully a few more.
Honestly, I don't know if we're going to be able to. It all depends on the St. Louis Cardinals on when we're going to be able to record, but we might not have an AEW and NXT recap this next time.
Yeah.
Because, we might be recording in the middle of it, so we'll see.
It's a great time to be a wrestling fan. It's a little tough to run a weekly podcast when you got 4/5 shows sometimes.
I kind of wish one of the shows would have stayed on Tuesday. I feel like having a show on. Now I'm like, what do I do on Tuesday?
Thursday night spot would be great for us to record often because you got the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday run.
Yeah, and then we got the Friday show.
Right.
And the occasional Sunday. And it's just a lot of wrestling, but we're here to cover all kinds of wrestling from AEW to WWE to NXT.
And until next time, I am your co-host, Jim Tucker, for Kyle Gagliardi, and we appreciate you listening to the On the Mark Wrestling
Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the On the Mark podcast.
Brock Lesnar going for an F5 to Cena for the championship. Lesnar with the cover.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and updates, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pod on the Mark. Pod on the Mark.